What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. I'm Edgar. Mr. Blood and Tommy is here with us. We're going to be going over Monday Night Raw, or Monday Morning Raw, I should say, because that shit took place in Australia again for the third time in a row. But the third and final time, at least, they're going to come back to the States. Actually, Sacramento, California, my hometown next week. Sorry for my voice, y'all. I feel like shit, man. So bear with me here, but how are y'all feeling today, fellas?
I'm doing good. Little miffed. First I woke up this morning, totally forgot it was Raw. Starting early because I'm a normal person who realizes that Monday's Raw should be in the evenings because most of the world goes to work on Monday mornings. And I wake up around like 11 o'clock, open my TikTok just to go ahead and check my notifications, followers, money, all that good shit. First thing into my For You page is a certain wrestling podcaster that I won't plug here, just because he pissed me off and I don't really enjoy his content. The very end of Raw, he's reacting to it. No spoiler warning, no nothing. Just the clip is starting off with the big angle that ended Raw tonight, where the Vision, as in Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, betray Seth Rollins. The first thing I saw this morning, the first 1.5 seconds on my For You page, was Braun Breaker mid-run spearing Seth Rollins, and I could not have been more aggravated because I was going to watch Raw later once I realized I'd missed it. And here comes this certain very popular wrestling podcaster like ourselves, even though our numbers are better than his. Yes, I'm a little salty. And this guy, no spoiler warning, just starts the clip off with the betrayal in mid-stride. Is how he started his video to hook viewers. And I couldn't be more pissed because it's like, dude, you know that most people go to work on Mondays who would have missed Raw first thing in the morning. Why are you spoiling it? Because they're going to go on their lunch break. They're going to be like, oh man, you know what? It's been a rough day, but I can't wait to go home and watch wrestling, right? Real wrestling fans, something to look forward to. You spoil it for them first fucking thing. And and it pissed me off. So I spent
Yeah.
most of the day like, yeah, I can't wait to watch Raw, but also like, he kind of ruined Raw for me a little bit.
Yeah. What about you, Tommy?
I mean, honestly, I completely agree that should have been something that honestly shouldn't have happened. But I woke up at like 6:30 this morning. Soto was live at 7, so I definitely watched Raw with him as much as I possibly could. But other than that, Raw was pretty decent. Sort
Yeah, it
of.
was pretty cool. Yeah, it was a Raw after Crown Jewel. We had a lot of questions about what's going to happen next after Crown Jewel. And man, this Raw did not disappoint. And I know who you're talking about, Mr. Blood, and I can't really hate too much because I'm guilty of it too. I was up at 5 a.m. fucking posting clips, also, for the views and stuff. So I get it. But I missed the main event because I had to take my daughter to school, and I come back. I didn't think anything was gonna happen, and then I saw what happened, and I was like, "Fuck!" I just missed out. Like my reaction was like crazy for that moment, but I saw everyone else and their mama posting reaction clips to that unexpected moment, which we'll get into. But yeah, man, fuck waking up at 5 a.m., dude. Like, I'm so glad this Australian tour is fucking over, dude, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I know they're in Sacramento, which is over in your neck of the woods. That's your hometown, correct?
Yeah.
And they're over there next week. And Raw's back to 8 p.m. Thank the fucking heavens. But this upcoming Friday, I'm not sure if it's pre-taped or if it'll be in the US. So I don't know
That's
if
a
we're
good
out of it. I
question.
don't know if we're out of it this Friday or if we've got a little bit more of this fucking tour to finish off. But um, it's great that they're doing international shows, right? I'm glad that the rest of the world is getting to experience it in person. I love the international crowds generally. I got to be honest, out of most of the international crowds we've had in the last year and a half, 2 years, Australia has been the most disappointing for me. They really were nowhere near to the level of like France or London or Berlin. Like they were very like mild for
Yeah, I
Australia.
mean, all three shows were in the same arena.
And I know, but even then, you'd think like, okay, well, the first night they'd go bananas like crazy. Nah. And then you think, well, the second night, here's the actual PLE. Just because these people had money to go to SmackDown doesn't mean they had enough money to go to Crown Jewel itself, right? So it's like, okay, well, let's just say that maybe 30% of the people who went to SmackDown last Friday were able to attend Crown Jewel the next day, especially when they touted the numbers tonight of a collective 40,000 over the 3-day weekend for them being in the arena that they were in. I'm like, okay, well, when Crown Jewel happened, we had some crazy shit. The crowds, like, I mean, they would explode for the entrances for the first like 3, 4, 5 seconds of every entrance, then die out as they were as the superstars made their ways to the ramps. Then in the matches, they're quiet, loud for a moment, quiet, big moments happen, they're loud, back to quiet. And I'm like, dude, man, like, you know, when you were talking about like the European crowds, you know, like Berlin and like fucking London and France, they wouldn't stop. In fact, they were so energetic, so happy. We were getting sick of them by the end of the European tour earlier this year. So we were getting sick of them because we couldn't get through these awesome promos or hear anybody talk because they would just hijack it to have fun. Sometimes you need that. But for me, the Australian crowd, the entire weekend, even with a break from Sunday to this tonight or this morning, technically, they were pretty fucking honestly low energy. I mean, they sang Punk's entrance, but Punk had to literally pull a Batista and stomp the mat and ring the ropes just to get them to come back alive. And it's like, you're watching a number one contenders match here with 3 of the biggest stars in the company. Where's the fucking energy? You know? So I don't know. I enjoyed Raw, but the crowd not being as into it bothered me all weekend.
Yeah, and no shame to, you know, the fans in Australia. We got a lot of Australian listeners here, especially over the weekend. But yeah, Australian fans or crowd, it's nothing like the European crowd, because I feel like the European crowds, like one of the most popular sports out there is soccer or football, like they call it, and those fans get wild. And when they were watching WWE, those fans were treating the WWE like it was a fucking crazy soccer match. And I don't know if the fans in Australia are like as passionate when it comes to their sports or their teams like they are in Europe, which explains a lot. I think like fans in Australia, I think they're really big on rugby and stuff like that. I don't know too much about rugby, but I don't think they get as crazy as the soccer fans do out there.
They have a soccer team as well, though, I believe. So
oh yeah, no, soccer's worldwide, but I'm just talking about like the passion. Is crazy in Europe.
I don't think any country in the world gets to the level of Europe for their sports. Not even America for football. I mean, we pale in comparison to the energy those people have in, like, let's say, like, I remember, like I told you, me and my wife used to have a steak in an Italian restaurant, a pizzeria and everything. And whenever the soccer games were on, all the workers, it was the loudest restaurant in the city. I mean, because our workers are mid-cooking, sticking their heads out the kitchen, staring at the TVs while they're sitting there finishing up meals and ole, 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 ole.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can I just get my appetizer?
Yeah, for real. What up, Toxic? Welcome, bro. How you doing? Can't hear you. Oh,
okay.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. My mic is working. Okay. I'm doing good.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I also forgot today was Raw. I was at practice this morning. I'm like, oh shit, it's Raw. I was only able to watch like a quarter of it because my phone died. Yay. So I watched the rest when I got home.
What'd you end up doing for your birthday, dude?
So obviously Monday I went to Raw, and then Thursday I went to Cheesecake Factory.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Sounds like a good birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you picked a good episode of Raw to go to last week too, man.
I did.
We were all really jealous.
Yeet.
Lucky bastard.
All right, let's get into this let's get into this Monday Night Raw after Crown Jewel. We kick things off with the World Heavyweight Champion and the current Crown Jewel Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. And man, the Vision was looking stronger than ever. Seth Rollins defeated Cody. Bronson Reed defeated Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins was back to his usual confident, calm, cool, collected self. And what a fucking change compared to like the past few weeks of Seth Rollins. And he's putting over Braun Breaker. He's putting over Bronson Reed. And Bronson Reed gets a lot of love from his home country in Australia, as he should. Well deserved. Bronson Reed defeated Roman Reigns, the second person to defeat Roman Reigns in years. But Bronson Reed has also defeated other top stars besides Roman Reigns. I believe Bronson Reed has also pinned Randy Orton, and fuck, I can't remember who the other guy. What point is, Bronson Reed is on one hell of a run, and we got to see this very powerful vision, but it's not going to last very long. We'll get into that later on. But what did you guys think about this opening segment with the vision?
I thought the opener served as a perfect prologue to what would come in the middle segment we'll talk about and the ending segment of the show, where they tried to pull one over on us with the damn copyright logo. You can never trust that copyright logo. You got to wait until that thing says live event has ended. But as far as it goes, I thought the opening segment served as a perfect prologue. It put over everybody in the group. It wasn't just about Seth, and I like that Seth starts off by giving Paul Heyman his flowers for his years of service to the business, everything he's meant to the company, for being the greatest of all time when it comes to managers and mouthpieces and secondary promoters within the company of promoters, putting over Braun Breaker for just being that guy. You know, a lot of this promo highlighted the difference of 6 months ago versus now, and how this was the vision that, all this talk when it came to Braun Breaker of potential and everything else, and how he's fully realizing that he's getting towards that upper echelon of not just rising stars, but someone who at this point now, 6 months ago, I would have said, now does feel like someone who will be a future face of this company. And then highlighting Bronson Reed in a way that I feel like Bronson has deserved to be highlighted in a while. There were light tears in Bronson's eyes, getting that adulation from the Australian crowd, telling Braun that he was amazing, that, giving him the Bronson Reed chants, and hearing Seth tell him how much he deserved this adulation. It was a really nice moment between the four, though it wouldn't last. It was a perfect way to prologue what happens at the end, because you could almost say that everything Seth said here and everything he says in the segment we'll get to later in the middle of the show almost feeds into why the ending happened the way that it happened. Because maybe if you blow too much smoke, you create and stoke the fire.
Not any thoughts about the opener. I mean, yes, it served as the thing to introduce the new men's crown jewel champion, but I just didn't have any thoughts about it. I mean, for me, it sounded like the promo in the opener of tonight, or the morning, whatever you want to call it. It sounded like what they were doing whenever Bronson Reed first came into the vision. Like, Seth was putting Braun Breaker over, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman over, but it just didn't. I don't have any thoughts, like major thoughts about it.
Yeah, Blood, you took everything that popped into my head. Fuck you. But what I will say is, Snug, the one that you were missing, because you named two of them. It was Roman, it was Randy, and then the last main man that he pinned was Seth.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, other than everything Blood said, that's about it.
All right. Let's go to the opening match of the night. Again, the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic Mysterio was defending on the first match. I believe this was the same case last week or the week before, where Dom defended versus Rusev. But this time, Dom is defending versus Penta. And man, these two guys right off the bat, as soon as the bell rang, they started going at it at 100 miles an hour. And I don't know, man. They have good chemistry in the ring. Dom and Penta, the match was really good. It was enjoyable. There was gaga, there was drama, there was, high spots, there was dives, there was everything in this match. Rusev came out to try to interfere because Rusev, he already got his shot next week. Whoever wins out of this one, Rusev has next. So he's getting another shot at the Intercontinental Championship, but not before Rusev decided to get involved. And Dominic Mysterio ended up taking advantage of this Rusev interference and he stole the win from Penta by light cheating and stealing, using or tricking the referee, pretending like he was going to use the belt. But he had the hammer put away in his boot, took advantage on Penta. This was such a great finish to the match. So right up Dominic Mysterio's alley. He retains, but he had to cheat to do it, which puts more heat on Dom. But the people loved it, and I love this match.
Yeah, I thought this was a fantastic opener. Makes me extremely excited for next week, considering the fact that we have 3 title matches next week. We have a women's championship with Becky and Maxine Dupree. We have the tag championships between AJ Styles, Dragon Lee, and the Judgment Day. And we also have, I believe, Rusev versus Dominic Mysterio. So next week's going to be amazing, but tonight was a prelude to that. And I will say these guys had a fantastic match. Top marks to Dominic for getting a brand new neck tattoo, which I know hurt like hell. And I know that throat was swollen. Pause. Resume. And all I could think the whole match was, if that's me, I'm telling Penta ahead of the match, whatever you do, please don't aim anywhere in this vicinity. But also, I mean, very risky. He could get that infected wrestling like that. It wasn't covered. There wasn't any sealing over it. But it looked great. And it's
sweat.
And it's a luchador mask too, which is awesome. The only thing I did not like about this match was the Rusev interference. To me, it made no sense. Before the match, Rusev had said to Penta in a segment leading into the match, I would have gotten involved. I would have, whatever this, whatever that. And maybe I won't, because I've already spoken to Adam Pearce and I got my title match against Dominic next week. So maybe I'll let it go. But I don't think I'll forget about that super kick. And it's like, okay, well, why did you have to interfere? Because it doesn't matter who won tonight. You were going to get a title match next week either fucking way. So you just want to fucking verse Dom? You've already beat Penta, right? Dom is someone who's beaten you because he cheated. He's going to cheat to retain again next week. You were better off going up against Penta, someone you've already beaten. Now you just screwed Penta and yourself out of a second victory over someone you've already defeated in favor of a guy who's proven time and time again that when the chips are down, he will screw you over and beat you by any means necessary, no matter how aggressive you are. And in their last match with Dominic versus Rusev, Dominic took like 80% of that match anyway. So I don't know why Rusev is acting like he's got Dom's number. He doesn't. Other than that, the match was fine, but I thought the Rusev interference was ridiculous and ruined what was going to be a great finish.
My opinion, this takes match of the night. I love this match. I see 2 things coming out of this. So next week, Rusev and Dom have their match, but Penta gets involved. And knowing Adam Pearce, he's going to say, you know what? I've had enough. You, either in a triple threat or a ladder match, which I could see the ladder match happening a lot more. I could actually see that at Survivor Series. Wouldn't be a bad place to have it, because Rusev was on Clash in Paris. Never mind. But still, I would rather have those 2 matches. I wouldn't have Dom go on something else, or I wouldn't have Rusev take the title off of Dom yet.
Honestly, Tox, I wouldn't mind a fucking ladder match between these 3. But I do agree that it is weird that Rusev is over here acting like he has anybody's number, when in reality, he does not at all. If anything, the only people he's got the number of is Alpha Academy, and that is literally only when he first returned, and they were kind of just feeding him people. That's it.
And
But
CJ
this
Perry's
match,
number.
who?
Never mind, go. Lana.
Not anymore. They're
Oh,
divorced
Now they're back together.
again. Oh God.
Yeah.
Maybe she
Are
likes.
they?
She probably likes his Bulgarian baloney. Continue.
But other than that, I actually really, really like this match. But again, the only thing that I wish didn't happen was Rusev, because like Blood said, it literally makes absolutely no sense. I do also love the fact that he did use that hammer to his advantage. The way he like put it in his boot, I believe he put it on the side that was going to end up on top for that 619 as well.
Yeah, that was the
So-
point of that. Yeah.
So that in itself was like fucking perfect.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that every time I post a Dominic Mysterio clip of him beating somebody when he cheats, I get the same comments from everybody. Dominic Mysterio gets so much hate. Oh, he sucks. Oh, he can't wrestle. Oh, all he does is cheat. Oh, he's not a real wrestler. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's the whole fucking point. He's supposed to cheat. That's his gimmick at this point, you know?
They loved
It's
it when
getting him
Eddie did it.
heat.
They loved it when Eddie did it. Like, and here's the thing. Here's why it works so well that Dom does it before we move on. Just like Eddie, Dom has this affinity for being incredibly charming while doing it. And it's not like your normal type of charm. Eddie was suave, right? Eddie was suave, good looking, great fucking physique. And he just had a kind of je ne sais quoi about him. Like there was something like you look at me like,
Was it comedic timing? I think.
no, it was like he just had like a rhythm. There was
Yeah.
something about him that was enticing. You wanted to hang out with him. You would want to get a drink with him. You would want to have him talk to you and call you Poppy. Like he was
Pause.
limitlessly cool. Was Eddie. Dom is not limitlessly cool. Dom is the other side of that, where Dom is the cool that like girls like. You know how the old adage is, you know how you get a girl to get your attention? You pretend like they don't exist and you don't care. The moment you don't care, you're the cool guy. Now they can't stand that you're ignoring him, that you won't pay attention to him. That's what it's like with Dom. He's got that arrogant cool where it's like, I'm laid back and I do whatever and I don't care. And people are drawn to it. But he backs it up in the ring because, as they said on commentary tonight, he does just get better and better. Every week, it feels like I'm seeing another gear from this kid that I didn't know he had. And like I keep saying before we move on, night and day, 5 years ago during COVID, when he's out there tagging with Ray, and versus today, it's like he's a completely different person in every positive way I could mean that. I'm so excited to see what his career looks like in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, dude, Dom's confidence is through the roof right now, man. And I love how Wade Barrett loves to put him over as like, oh, the chick magnet. Look at all these girls in the arena cheering for Dirty Dom and his mustache. And well, you know.
He is the type of he is the type of guy that girls do go for. I've noticed in this day and age, the lanky, unkempt, like awkward looking guy who's just doesn't care, cool factor. Like that's what girls like nowadays. The guy that they like, what's that meme like? Oh, you're the guy that she's dating, his brother-in-law, the guy she cheats on you with. Dom is the guy that she cheats on you with, and it's a downgrade and an upgrade at the same time, and your confidence can't handle it.
All right, second match, women's match. The Australian star Mommy Rhea Ripley was in her home country, as she should be. She had a one-on-one match versus Kairi Sane, a very, very Very, very competitive match. A very long competitive match, I must add. And this match was a little bit too long for my personal liking because it's Rhea Ripley. She's a badass. She's super over. She's a huge star. And yeah, the people like Kairi Sane, but I just felt like Rhea Ripley should have defeated Kairi Sane a lot quicker, a lot more convincing. I'm not saying that they should have fucking buried Kairi Sane or, make this a squash match or whatever, but this match was like fucking 15, 20 minutes long. And you had Io Sky and Asuka ringside as well. This story continues, it seems like. But yeah, man, I mean, Rhea Ripley got the pin in her home country. The people were happy to see her, but I'm just not too big on Kairi Sane, and especially going 50-50 with Rhea Ripley. That was a little bit too much for me.
I enjoyed the match actually, though I do agree it could have ended 3 minutes earlier. I don't think there needed to be a reverse out of that first Riptide. Um, I thought that the ending it with a Razor's Edge would have been a cool way to do it. Like Razor's Edge followed up by that Shining Wizard was a really fucking dope combo. And I thought, oh shit, that's it. And I thought that was the 3 count. And I even said to my wife, I was like, that's it. It's over. And she kicked out. My wife's like, oh, it's over, isn't it? I was like, shut up. But my wife knows that I'm a huge Kairi Sane fan. And every time Kairi's out in the ring, my wife always goes, say her name. And because I say it in a funny way, I go, Kairi, because she's adorable. But it's funny that my wife just couldn't get over the fact she's like, oh my God, stop beating up Kairi. She's so small. And I was like, she's 5'1", babe. I said, she's like 9 years older than Rhea Ripley. Kairi Sane is 37. So, but I thought they had a great competitive match. I like that Kairi got offense and I like that it was 50-50 because it shows that Kairi can go toe to toe if she has to. She's not, on the level of beating Rhea, but she is good enough to give her an absolute challenge because what's the point of this story going on if Rhea could squash her? Then it's really just Io and Rhea versus Asuka, and then the threat of Kairi siding with Asuka or breaking free doesn't matter. You want to feel like Kairi can pose a threat, that she is a threat, that she is a challenge and provides one. You need that. And I thought tonight it was really great. Not to mention the fact that Kairi is the one who had to eat the pin Saturday. So to me, you needed to give her some of that luster back here tonight by having her take a little bit more offense to Rhea. And I thought they both look great. Yes, did it go again 3 or so minutes too long? But I think it was a good showing for both women. And I do like the wrinkle of Kairi did in fact hit Rhea with the kendo sticks on the back to save Asuka, and then unfortunately, Rhea got DDT'd on the announcer table for troubles, but it serves to the greater purpose of the story. Kairi could have sat there and turned on Asuka right there after Asuka slapped the fucking taste out of her mouth earlier in the day before the match, in a way that if that was me, we boxing right now. You done hit me the way you just hit me. But again, it serves to that greater overall story of the abuse at the hands of Asuka. That's the heart of this story. Is the abuse that Asuka put on Io, puts on Kairi, and it really starts to show Kairi eventually is going to have to make a choice here. And I'm telling you, the moment Kairi turns on Asuka is going to be a loud fucking pop from the crowd.
Yeah, this match was way too long in my opinion. I mean, I didn't pay attention to it because once again I was at practice, I was doing stuff. But anyways, I didn't pay attention to it. It sounded not that good, but it was kind of good because I watched like a few minutes of it. But anyways, I don't know what about this match. It's just I did not like it, and that's weird for me to say about a Rhea Ripley match because almost all of Rhea's matches are good, which is weird for me to not like it. I don't know. I just didn't like it, and I don't have a lot of thoughts about it.
So I've noticed that you guys didn't bring up what happened with Io. So during the match, Io and Asuka went at it. And honestly, I think that would be one hell of a match right then and there. Just Asuka and Io going head to head. Hell yeah. Take my fucking money, please. But I will say that this match, we can all agree that it did go a bit too long. Like, we all agree on that. There's no doubt about that. But it is true what Blood said, that she absolutely needed a little bit more after what happened on Saturday in that tag match with her taking the pin and all of that. So she needed more offense than anything else.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, they could have put her versus Io in that case. Like, Rhea Ripley is your biggest star. Like, if you want to give Kairi Sane more, I would have put Io Sky in that spot instead. You know, I just feel like it takes a lot away from Rhea Ripley when she's over here having these matches with fucking the mid card girls like Kairi Sane. Like,
Well,
Rhea Ripley is like your Austin at this point.
True, but at the same point, all four of them are in a mid-card story. But at the end of the day,
Which is stupid.
It's stupid, but I mean, they can't always be in the main event forever. And the main event's been mostly taken by Io and Rhea for the better part of 2 years. So it is time for other people to get a turn. And also, the reason Io wasn't in this match is because her and Kairi had a match last Monday. So it didn't make sense to run it back 2 times in a row. That would have been really
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
But
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to get Asuka's ass in the ring because she keeps throwing Kairi in there as a human meat shield. So
Yeah, well, the story continues, unfortunately. All right, let's go to the back. We have a backstage segment with the Usos, Jay and Jimmy. And this was one of the things that we were all wondering about after Crown Jewel. What's going to happen with them? We didn't see Roman tonight. I thought we were going to see Roman, but no Roman. But they did talk about Roman, they being the Usos, where Jay Uso was preparing for his main event number 1 contenders match. Jimmy Uso was preparing himself for his one-on-one versus Bronson Reed. And Jay Uso pretty much told Jimmy, hey, maybe Roman, he's right. We got to focus on our own thing. We got to do our own thing. So you do you versus Bronson Reed, and I'm going to do me in the main event. And, you know, the best of luck to you, but we're going to go our separate ways tonight. Basically is what Jay Uso said, not in those exact words, but which I thought was very interesting because Jimmy Uso, he was all beat up after Crown Jewel, and he was going to go up against the big badass Bronson Reed. So I was really interested to see what was going to happen in this match with with Jimmy Uso and Bronson Reed.
I find it interesting that we haven't mentioned this yet. So we're just supposed to accept the fact that we're never getting this WWE draft this year, and Jimmy has officially just been quietly moved over to Raw. Has anybody else noticed that? Like, he's just officially on Raw, being booked in matches on Raw, even though just a few weeks ago he was literally on SmackDown fighting off, that bullshit over there against Solo, and he was helping out Sammy and this and Jacob Fatu. Remember, that was the whole thing. They were, just like a month and a half ago, him and Jacob Fatu were, at war together against, and all of a sudden now he's just he's on he's on Raw now. He's on Raw because we did have Naomi on Raw and now she's out pregnant. So let's just put Jimmy in her place. And I'm like, I'm fine with it, but I don't like the idea of Jimmy and Jay having to share the spotlight when they've both have earned the rights to try to carve out their own singles career paths. And even though I do like seeing them together and I like these story beats we're getting with their own dissension from each other, it's a nice reverse of what happened in the Bloodline. Instead of it being, Jimmy that Jay was trying to break free of Roman, it's reversed, and it's like Jay is now the one who's being fully indoctrinated in this bullshit, and Jimmy's trying to save him. But when it comes down to it, I knew we weren't going to get Roman tonight just because he told them in the ring after Crown Jewel. I love y'all, but I don't want to see either of you till Christmas. So, and that tells me he's either coming back right around War Games, which is November 29th, or he's legit not showing up until maybe fucking Saturday night's main event or something. But I can't see them having Survivor Series without him. Just the way everything's been building, I can't see them having Survivor Series without him. But this was fine. Serves the story, serves the wrinkles, leads into the match, and what happened after the match. We'll get to that after the boys talk about how they felt about this segment.
The segment with Jimmy and Jay, I thought it was interesting because I'm going through my head. I'm like, okay, what would I do if I was booking this? And what I would do is I would have Jay and Jimmy go their separate ways. I mean, like, picture it. Next week, Jay and Jimmy meet backstage again. Jimmy's like, okay, I see where you're coming from because you helped me last week and that caused you your match. So I could see them going their separate ways. And Jimmy going into the Intercontinental Championship like story thing. And I think he should take it off of Dom. But I mean, because give Jimmy some gold. It's about time. It's about time. But I just think that the Usos need to split right now. And then come back together at War Games time.
In my opinion, the Usos coming back together should have been a one-time thing. I have full-blown said that before, that when they first got back together, I was hoping it was a one-time thing and then they'd go right back to their separate ways, all of that. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. But I will say that this whole backstage thing, once again, it is Jay taking Roman's advice quite literally. And I don't blame him on this because it's very clear that every time he tries to help somebody, he did it with Punk, I believe. He's done it with a bunch of people. Every time he tried to help somebody out, ever since he lost that world title, he's been screwed over somehow. So I completely understand and I get, and I honestly completely agree that those two should just stay their separate ways at this point. Let Jay do his own thing. Let Jimmy do his own thing. Keep them separate.
I think that's what's going to happen next week here in Sac when they come to for Monday Night Raw because, well, we'll talk about the main event later on, but the next match, Jimmy Uso versus Bronson Reed. And man, Bronson Reed, he just came back from defeating Roman fucking Reigns. So poor Jimmy Uso, he was like being fed to the fucking lion's den, it felt like, in this match. And, you know, he was all bandaged up. His ribs were all fucked up. Jimmy's ribs were all fucked up. And it didn't go good for Jimmy. He got Tsunami Splash. Bronson Reed pinned Jimmy clean, 1, 2, 3. And then to make matters worse, after the match, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed continue the attack on Jimmy Uso. And because of what Jey Uso said before the match, hey, let's go our separate ways. Let's do our own thing. It took Jey Uso a while for him to come out for the save. And I was kind of doubting Jey Uso was even going to come out because we've seen Jey Uso kind of walk away from these situations and want nothing to do with it. But Jey Uso did come out against his own will. Like he wasn't too happy about having to come out and save his brother because, you know, Jey Uso hits the ring, he clears the ring, saves Jimmy, and then he's like talking shit to Jimmy Uso like, man, see, I told you I didn't want to come out here, fool. And I'm just like, God damn, it's not Jimmy's fault, you know. But it was still really interesting, you know, I guess the miscommunication that these two are having, the situation that they're in. They're kind of forced into doing these things, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I mean, the match was fine. It was quick. It wasn't that long, maybe like 6.5, 7 minutes, it felt like. Yeah, I guess the only thing I can say that stands out in this match is just the post-match. the double beat down on Jimmy, Jay running out to save him. And just when he gets out of the ring, he shouts him. He's like, see, I told you, this is why I didn't want to do this, because now I'm hurt, and he shouts to Jimmy, now he's hurt. And it's like, you can't really blame Jimmy, though. Like, he got booked in a match. He's wrestling that match. He got jumped after the match. It's not like he asked to get jumped, Jay. So to me, it's like, you have to look at it from Jimmy's perspective as well as Jay's. Like, Jay is not wrong either. It's like, hey, man, I have a #1 contendership match tonight. I cannot be exerting energy, risking injury, risking getting, beat down when I could remain as fresh as possible and win my match and get one step closer to recapturing that World Heavyweight Championship. But at the same time, you got to look at it from Jimmy's perspective. Dude, I got jumped. It's not like I told him to jump me. And also, if no one else is going to save me, you're my brother, motherfucker, and you're in the building. Get your ass out here.
What took you?
Exactly, because if I'm Jimmy, it's like, dude, how many times have I come out and saved your ass this year, Jay? A lot. So how are you going to give me flack for needing you to save me when Jimmy has legit come out and saved Jay like maybe a dozen times already this year, especially with the Gunther story? He stood up to Gunther, smacked the taste out of his mouth on behalf of Jay. Like, he got dog walked, bloodied, freaking, choked out by Gunther for Jay. So it's like, Jay, you owe Jimmy quite a lot. In fact, he helped you get out of the clutches of Roman Reigns during the Bloodline in the first place. He's the one who fired the first shot against Roman and said, you should have done this a long time ago, but don't worry, I'm your brother. I got you. It's like, try to look at it from Jimmy's perspective. He's always had your back, So I like the emotional wrinkles. I don't want to see them tagging together as often as possible. Like, if we can keep that a special occasion thing, cool. But if I can get these story beats of like, yes, they're separate, but they're still infighting, that's interesting to me. Keep doing that.
It's crazy to say that Bronson Reed has beaten 2 out of the 5 original OG Bloodline members. And I mean Roman, Jay, Jimmy, Solo, and Sammy. He's never beaten Jay. He's never beaten Sammy. And hell, he's never even had a match with Solo. At least I don't think so. But that's crazy to think that he's beaten Roman and Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that was like when the Bloodline was still in his prime, oh no, Bronson's getting his ass dog walked. I'm serious. I mean, you got Solo, Samoan Spike. He's done. That's just, I don't know. That's the only thought I have about this match. It was a short match, but it was kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm looking at what happened after. I'm like, dude, Jay, I love you, man. But Jimmy has come out to save your ass so many different times. Plus, you are his twin brother, meaning you have a familial obligation to save this man's ass. So there's that. But this match, Tox, I love you, man. This, I think, is up there for what we got tonight. But I will say that Braun beating Jimmy, yeah, that made sense. Bronson was almost complete 100%, and Jimmy had his ribs wrapped. How else was this supposed to go?
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, the match was short, but it got to the point. It told the story with the messed up ribs, and I thought it was well done, So I really like this match, especially what happened afterwards, because it leads into the main event. But first, before we get into the main event, we had a women's tag team match. Bayley and Lyra tag team against Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez again. And it seems like, we've been seeing these 4 women go at it in different types of matches, one-on-one, tag team. and everything you can think of and every combination you can think of. However, I still really enjoyed this match because I feel like because they've been working so much together the past couple months or whatever, that they're starting to really build a lot more chemistry in the ring. At least that's what it felt like tonight. Because this tag team match was actually really good. I enjoyed this tag team match a lot more than the Kyrie and Rhea Ripley match. They also had like some shenanigans there where Lyra Valkyrie smacked the taste out of Bailey to kind of like get her to turn up the heat in this match, and Bailey snaps during this match, and Lyra and Bailey end up getting the win over Raquel and Roxanne, which I thought was really good. But what did you guys think about it?
That I was so glad that I was watching the replay of this, so I skipped straight through it to save time. Didn't care. As soon as the backstage segment of Bailey and Lyra started, where they were, I don't know if I can trust you, and what are you talking about? Oh, let's do it. Let's go out there. I was like, I'm so not into this, and I watched the first 2 minutes, then realized, oh, we got to be on the podcast in 45 minutes. Fast forward all the way through the next ad into the next segment. Don't care. Last week, I've said it nauseum that I'm sick of seeing these girls interact with each other in every combination, except for a fucking tag match. And we finally got that fucking tag match tonight. And I just was like, and I still don't give a shit. So I have no thoughts on it because for me, this is my least favorite thing on Raw and has been for about 2 months now.
We're like the complete opposite when it comes to this, Blood. You really enjoy the storyline with Kyrie, and I don't. And you don't really enjoy this storyline, but I do, the one with Bailey and Lyra. So,
but I think for me it's because in the other story, I understand the nuances of that story. I enjoy and am in love with Japanese culture, and I love Japanese women. And I love Rhea, and I like every single one of those wrestlers in that story. I'm a fan of all 4 of those women. In this, don't give a fuck about Lyra. They ruined her character for me earlier this year, and she never rebounded. Love Bailey. Don't care about Raquel Rodriguez. Have remained and have still remained completely unimpressed with Roxanne Perez. So there's only one person in that entire story I give a shit about, and it's Bailey. So it's hard for me to care about anything going on with it when there's 3 pieces. So 75% of that puzzle that I feel nothing for when they're on screen.
Yeah. And this is why these shows are so fun to me, because we can just go back and forth about this shit all day with you, Mr. Blood. But go ahead, Tommy.
All right. Since we have no clue where the hell Toxic is at, I'll just go ahead and go. The most impressive thing about this match, well, not impressive, but most interesting thing about this match was that slap. That is the only thing that I actually got interested with. The whole, hey, this is not the Bailey I need. Yeah, so that is the only thing that I really found interesting about this match. Other than that, there wasn't really much to it.
All right. I guess we're moving on. What's up, Blood?
I was just going to say, I thought I heard someone's door in the background. I thought it might be Toxic coming back. He got called away from his room, but I'd say, yeah, at this point, let's go ahead and move on for the sake of time.
All right. Speaking of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, I just realized, wait, Roxanne and Raquel. Okay, never mind. Stephanie Vaquer, the women's world champion, and now the women's crown jewel champion of 2025. She cut a promo on the stage and was interrupted by the Judgment Day, the women of the Judgment Day. And at first, I got excited for this because at first it was Raquel Rodriguez that came out with the mic to interrupt Stephanie Vaquer. And I've said this before. I'm like, man, I want to see Raquel versus Stephanie Vaquer. So I thought we were going to get that at first. But then Roxanne took over and Raquel just basically became like a fucking background character. And the real face-off was between Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne Perez. And I was just like, man, fuck. So it looks like we're going to get the next competitor for Stephanie Vaccare's Women's World Championship is going to be Roxanne Perez. How did you guys feel about that?
I haven't said this on air yet, but can we talk, or can I? I'm going to say, how ugly are those fucking crown jewel titles? They are obnoxiously, cartoonishly fucking huge. It was so hard for me to take this promo with Stephanie seriously. Hell, I found it hard to focus on Seth in the opener because I was staring at his midsection. I was staring at her midsection. Like, those titles are so fucking cartoonishly huge. They don't look like real titles. And all I could think was that title, like, Stephanie Vacare could take off her lower half of her clothing and wear that from her waist down, and it would literally be bigger than a pair of shorts on her. And I was like, it's so weird hearing her try to cut a promo, but I'm focused on this ugly design, this just ugly looking title. And I'm hoping they stop bringing them in next week on Monday. As far as it goes with the girls interrupting, when I heard Raquel come out, I was like, oh my God, this is going to drag. Can't we just let her say her piece and go? And then Roxanne opened her mouth and I thought, oh my God. I'm like, you're going to make me sit through Roxanne versus Stephanie, because Stephanie's great. Roxanne going out there, it should be me who should have been at WrestlePalooza because I'm the one who pinned Io Sky. I'm like, you're not impressive at all. Io Sky should never have had to sell for you the amount she did in that match that you guys had. In fact, she would dog walk you in an actual real technical wrestling match, as would Stephanie. And if you, just because you think you beat Io, by the way, by cheating, you think you're going to straight up beat Stephanie clean? Please, because Stephanie beat Io. So, no. To me, it's a filler feud for the fall, and I am not interested.
Yeah, we all know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I cannot help but agree full-heartedly on this. I get it. Roxanne, you call yourself the prodigy. I get that. That does not mean you are world title ready. You want proof of that? We have said this time and time again.
Tiffany Stratton.
Look at Stratton. Just because you were a champion, a world champion in NXT, does not mean you are world champion ready here on the main roster. Plain and simple. Just because you beat Io Sky, it don't mean shit. Because guess who hasn't been the champion in a bit? Io fucking Sky. So, yeah, I have to say that when it comes to this match, I agree with Blood. I don't give a fuck about it because it's obvious how it's going to go. This is Stephanie Vaccare's first title defense. She ain't losing it. So, yeah.
All right. Remember when we were talking about, I think it was last week, when we were like, fuck, how are they going to decide who Seth Rollins is going to face next? You know, because we got Punk, we got Jay, we got LA Knight, and even Roman Reigns, and we were all trying to figure out like when and how they were going to do this.
Yeah, and I straight up said it's going to be a multi-man match. I said, if I'm booking it, I would like to see a fatal four-way for the number one contendership with Roman at Survivor Series, and whoever wins that, or I said a Survivor Series or Saturday night's main event, and I said winner of that should face Seth at the Royal Rumble. Well, they decided to fast forward that shit tonight, didn't they? And they cut Roman out of it, which I thought would have still been great if Roman was a part of it. But they were like, oh no, we're going to do the triple threat now.
Was that always announced, Tommy? You might know about this. Did they announce this match beforehand, or they just put it on the card tonight?
I think so. If anything, if they did, it would be on the WWE socials.
I didn't see shit about it ahead of time.
I didn't either. That's why I was kind of shocked by this, but it makes me wonder now that, the show happened hours ago. And, this is why I like reviewing sometimes later on in the day, because we find out a lot of information after the show throughout the day. Could this be like one of the changes that was done, since we now know that Seth Rollins got injured at Crown Jewel? Was this one of the reasons why they decided to have this number one contenders match tonight? Maybe.
I'm gonna assume so. And you guys can catch the episode of the Blood Drop later this evening on Apple and Spotify when it goes live. It's already on the socials for the Snug Wrestling channel and my channel on TikTok and Instagram. However, it appears that due to his injury that might have happened earlier on in the match and was later aggravated by him hitting that coast-to-coast headbutt on Cody Rhodes, and then aggravated again from the Super Crossroads, that they had to change a lot of shit leading into Survivor Series. And apparently most of the plans for Survivor Series regarding the men are now being thrown out because it was heavily surrounding Seth Rollins and the Vision on that night. So the main angle after the match we'll get into here in a second only happened tonight because of his injury. So Seth is going to have a babyface turn, apparently, from what I'm reading the reports, is now probably the most likely plan going forward when he went, to get his get back. But that would tell me that they did it tonight, because I'm wondering if they're going to have to take the title off of him at Survivor Series. They said depending on if it's a break in the shoulder, that would be better than a full-blown shoulder injury, because if it's like a broken arm, that'll heal by December. And he might be able to do light or minimal physical interaction at Survivor Series. However, if it is a shoulder injury, you're talking after the Royal Rumble. And that's where we are now at a crossroads here, no pun intended, for the future of that world championship, but also why the Vision went the way they did tonight after the main event was over. But I do believe that this triple threat happened last minute because of the uncertainty. They're trying to lay the groundwork in case they probably have to take it off of him in some form or fashion. And I guess we're going to have to TBD on that one.
It sure as hell felt last minute.
All right, hold on.
It's good. I'll edit this out.
So I did look it up, and they did. It was one of those Adam Pearce announcement video things.
Like the
5 hours before the show.
Okay. That makes me feel better, because we were like speculating this and booking this, a few weeks in advance, like a couple months from now. It definitely felt very rushed, but I just hope Seth Rollins doesn't have to relinquish or anything crazy like that. That would suck, man, because Seth Rollins was doing great things, man, with this title.
So that tells me that they announced it 5 hours before the show, which in Australia, because Australia is about 15 hours ahead of my coast, which is the East Coast, that means that around 2 p.m. today, their time is when they announced it. So it was last minute, because because they had to evaluate Seth, and there's no way they could evaluate him on a Sunday. There's no doctor they could send him to in Australia to look at or anything. They had to probably.
I'm sure they have their own doctors, don't they?
Yes, but Sunday they have no show, so it's not like anybody's at the stadium doing a bunch of fucking crap. The trainers aren't there. So because everybody I saw on TikTok on Sunday yesterday, that's a part of the show. We're all posting, touring the country, and at the beaches and everything else, and seeing the sights. So he probably had to wait until early that morning to go into the actual stadium to speak with the trainers and get evaluated. And then after his evaluation was done, they're like, well, fuck, we got to think of something on the fly. And then they had Adam Pearce send out one of those memorandums right before the show. And so it's about as last minute as it gets, right down to, just not tearing the script up right as the show starts. But 5 hours before, still pretty fucking, cutting it very close.
In fact, I'm sorry, I did the math wrong. The video itself was posted 15 hours ago, which is even worse, at 2 to 3 hours before the show started. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, the
it
good news
was
is
just like randomly put in all of a sudden. But I would personally say that I hope to God that Seth isn't like too injured, because I really, really want to see the aftermath of that cash in, because that's what we would be getting if Seth isn't like extremely injured. Is we would be getting CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the world title that Rollins cashed in on.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves because we got to get into the main event first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that if this happened very last minute due to Seth Rollins' injury, we got one hell of a fucking main event. Because we got Jay, we got Punk, we got LA Knight, a 3-way match, which, you know, we fucking shitted on time and time again because we see them so much. But this tonight, I can't hate on this too much, man, because we got a number one contenders match with top fucking stars, the most popular stars on Raw. LA Knight over as fuck, CM Punk over as fuck, Jay Uso over as fuck, and these are all top stars. And people can't say like, oh, the booking for the main event was bad, like the WWE doesn't create stars. They like these three characters, these three wrestlers, they were all put in this situation in such a marvelous way, I thought, in a way that you don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, who's going to win. If Jay wins, the people are going to love it. If LA Knight wins, the people are going to go crazy. If Punk wins, so like this is literally a win-win-win situation here. And it's not too often where we see these types of matches where you go, you know what? Whoever wins, I'm good with this, you know? So I actually really enjoyed it, but it wasn't LA Knight's time, man. I thought for sure it was going to be LA Knight this time, but it ended up being CM Punk. And because of what happened before the match with Jimmy and Jay, you already know Jay Uso is going to put some of the blame on Jimmy as to the reason why Jay did not win this main event. But CM Punk literally GTS Jay Uso out of his fucking grill to win this match in the triple threat in the main event of Raw. 1, 2, 3. Before we get into the shenanigans after the match, what did you guys think about the match itself?
Again, yeah, I mean, I'm going to parrot what you just said. It's a win-win-win, right? All three of these guys are over as hell, but also they're all top stars. Also, all three are main eventers. But the thing is, they're all baby faces too. So they're all beloved. So in this, it's not a matter of who do you cheer for. It's a matter of who would you like to see in that position the most. For me, Punk is my guy. He's my favorite of all time. He is my ride or die in professional wrestling. When it comes to CM Punk, there is no in between. You either love him in your bones or you hate his fucking guts. There is no middle ground with Punk when it comes to fanning for Punk or disliking him. I love him in my bones. I, however, still wanted to see LA Knight win this more. I have one major qualm with the match. But before I say that, I will say the GTSing Jay out of his grill had me dying when I see Punk notice it while he's pinning him, and he just looks over and goes, huh? And he just reaches over, looks at the camera, and just steals the grill. He steals that shit. And then I realized later he like found a way to sneak it back to Jay and gave it back to him, because when he's on the top rope, he doesn't have it with him. And I doubt he shoved Jay's grill in his tights, because what a fucked up thing that would be. If I'm Jay, I'm like, nah, keep it oos. But as far as it's concerned, my major gripe with this match, it was way too fucking short. For those who think that Rhea and Kyrie went too long, this match was short as fuck. I don't even think it went 10 minutes. It legit was just boom, 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 no middle half, boom, finish, done. And I was like, wait, is that really it? Like, we have like one of the coolest main events we've had in a while. It's a number one contendership. There's stakes involved, right? And every guy is beloved, and any one of these guys could win. This is going to be a barn burner. I'm waiting for This Is Awesome chance. This match never got out of second gear to even get to the point where it could get there. To me, I see this on a marquee, on an advertisement, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this is a PLE caliber fucking triple threat. This should go 15, 20 minutes. This thing didn't even hit like 10 and a half. I genuinely, like, and aside from the ads, I don't think this fucking match hit 11 minutes. It was short, way too short. They also, and this is also kind of a complaint, I felt like they were holding back the whole match. Like, I'm watching it. Every hit felt pulled back. Everything felt wrestled for some reason very safe. And I noticed the longer the match went on, Punk hitting the knees up in the turnbuckles, no smack sound, no slap, just very soft thudding. Very, very fucking gentle slams, gentle body splash, very carefully done. Like, everything felt like, for some reason, all three of these guys were just not phoning it in, but it just felt very, very safe tonight. Also with the time, and I think the reason for that is this match wasn't even supposed to happen until earlier in the day. And they found out, oh, y'all are wrestling a triple threat match tonight, and this is what's happening after. And we have a cutoff time, and we have this big angle after the match. So go out there, go like 10 minutes, do what you got to do, get it in, get out, get over it, and, you know, get out of there so we can have the major angle happen. And that's what it felt like to me. Like, it was rushed. It felt extremely rushed. I enjoyed it, but nowhere near as much as I thought I would, because I just felt like they cut corners with it.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. Like, this whole thing, this is what should have happened. Rhea and Kyrie, shorter. This one, longer. Like, really? You're having Rhea and Kyrie go as long as it did, but yet you're having this one be short as fuck? That should not be happening whatsoever. So I do completely agree that this match should have gone a fuck ton longer than it did. Plain and simple. But I'm honestly happy that Punk won, because of the fact that who did Rollins cash in on? Who still has a fucking grudge because of that? That would be Punk. Punk ended up winning. This is why I say that I really, really hope that Seth isn't injured too bad, because I want to see this fucking match. Seth Rollins and CM Punk going head to head again. Do it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this match, man. Between this is one of my favorite feuds with Punk and Seth Rollins. So yeah, I definitely want to see it for sure. All right, and then after the match, once Punk pinned Jay, took his grill, we go to Seth Rollins comes out, and they corner CM Punk, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they take out CM Punk, leaving the Vision standing clear of the ring, standing tall, standing looking stronger than ever, because this whole show was pretty much, it felt like a Vision appreciation episode of Monday Night Raw. They both, Bronson Reed and Seth, came back from big wins at Crown Jewel. You know, Seth Rollins is putting over Braun Breaker, the wise man. It's all love. Seth Rollins is, you know, giving them a really emotional pep talk backstage. One of the greatest moments in my whole entire professional career, seeing, you know, my daughter being born, marrying my wife, and seeing you guys grow, and they're all having really nice moments. I was not expecting this turn. Not tonight, especially not tonight after everything that we saw. And then the credits hit, we're about to go off air, and then fuck, now that I know that Seth Rollins was injured the whole time, fucking Braun Breaker speared Seth Rollins Like, god damn, I felt bad for Seth Rollins. He landed pretty hard on that spear. He fucking hit the back of his head and everything. Braun Breaker was really excited to hit Seth Rollins with that spear. And holy fucking shit, what a moment that was, unexpected. Nobody believed it. The crowd fucking popped. And then to make matters even worse or better for some of us that were really excited about this moment, Bronson Reed and Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman aligned themselves with Braun Breaker. Bronson Reed continued the attack. Tsunami Splash. Paul Heyman raises up the hands of both Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And I kind of got that feeling like, okay, we're over now. Bronson Reed is getting cheered. Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns. Maybe they were feeling like, hey, we don't need you anymore, Seth. We're going to take over. And we got that nice picture of Braun Breaker holding up the World Heavyweight Championship, which I thought was a really nice sight to see.
You remember when I said from the opening segment that when you blow too much smoke, sometimes you make the fire on accident? Seth spent the majority of the segment backstage and the segment that opened the show praising these guys, but making it known that he did not need them, that he didn't need anybody, that he got to where he was on his own, which the crowd chanted bullshit to, which it is bullshit. Because if that was true, Seth, let me tally a couple things here. The Shield, the Authority, the Monday Night Messiah gimmick with your own backup then, the Vision now. So how have you gotten everywhere in your career on your own? How have you done it all yourself when the biggest moments in your career were all because you had two other men at minimum watching your back, whether it was Roman and Dean, J&J Security and Corporate Kane, Akam and Razor and Buddy Matthews at the time, and now Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Tell me how you've done it all by yourself. That's what I'd like to know. And the hypocrisy in that is something I think that the guys picked up on, where they're like, you've never done anything alone. I think they realized everything you've been successful at is because you had someone watching your back. And when he said, I don't need them, I chose them, they're like, well, hold on a second. What do you mean you don't need us? And then he said, I beat CM Punk and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania on my own. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Paul Heyman was the key to that. Low blowing Punk and screwing and low blowing freaking Roman. You did not do any of this yourself. And I think every time he said something, it was insulting to them because they're like, hold on. Wait. He does need us, doesn't he? But we don't need him. In fact, we need each other. And Braun Breaker made that clear. What was set up about this so perfectly was that none of them were in on Braun Breaker's betrayal. Braun betrayed Seth. Both Heyman and Bronson looked extremely shocked and almost like, what are you doing? Then you see Braun Breaker go over to Bronson Reed and he looks at him and he goes, it's your choice. It's your call. It's up to you. You're with him or you're with me. Bronson chose Breaker. But then you see after the tsunami, Seth's rolling around. Bronson is and Breaker over Punk, and you see Heyman begging for mercy at the behest of Seth because he does care about Seth. He's like, what are you doing? Stop. And then Braun Breaker picks up Paul by the tie and goes, if you're not with me, or no, he said, you're either with me or you're not. Meaning, if you're not with me, you're against me. And the moment he said that, Paul looked down at Seth, looked shocked and confused, looked saddened to betray him, and reluctantly raised both guys' hands. But in that final moment, you saw Paul just accepting it and then did it with pride. And that right there solidifies everything Roman and Punk and Cody told Seth. he will eventually turn on you too. It's not a matter of if Paul Heyman will betray you. It's not a matter of if Bronson and Braun Breaker will realize that they're better off without you. It's a matter of when. And unfortunately, due to his injury tonight, it was moved up 6 months together. You could argue that this needed to last a little longer to really build up that betrayal. But you could also argue that it maybe was the right time. Either way, it's happened. We're now in a new part of this story. And reports are saying that this is apparently going to be building Seth into a baby face again, which again, you could argue it's too short to have a 6-month heel turn, but we just did it with John Cena. At the end of the day, they were always planning on having Breakker betray Seth anyway. That report came out months ago. It was always the plan to turn Braun on Seth. It just wasn't a plan to turn him on Seth this early. But now we have those reports of Braun Breakker is supposed to apparently face Brock Lesnar at Mania next year, which tells me how long will this alliance of Braun Breakker and Heyman last before Braun Breakker steps on Heyman's toes, and here comes the beast Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I think the reports were saying that the split was supposed to happen next year.
It was supposed to happen in Mania season. It was supposed to be leading into Mania on the road to WrestleMania that they were going to turn on him. It was supposed to go like another 3.5, 4 months. And then like in March or February, then the turn happens. And then somehow we get to Seth versus Punk at Mania or Seth versus Braun. But then there was a report that it was supposed to be Braun versus Brock. So we'll have to see.
I will say that I look at everything that Seth was saying before the betrayal. I'm like, dude, only one of those is correct. You didn't do anything on your own except one. You beating Cody Rhodes for that crown jewel title that's currently around your waist. That is the only thing you did alone, only because of the fact that Heyman put those two boys in the back and had them stay there. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have done that alone either. So everything that you're saying is bullshit, and we all know it. And apparently, so did Braun Breakker. Because that spear, oh my God. There's one thing that I have been thinking in my head the entire time that I've seen Braun do these spears, and that is, if that man is not at least in the top 3 best spears of all time contendership, then you're wrong. So there's that. But man literally like broke this man in half with that spear. That is how good Braun Breaker's spear is. But other than that, we knew this was coming eventually. I honestly just wish that it would have happened after War Games, because our entire prediction overall was surrounded by if the Vision stayed together. We were hoping that the Vision would be in War Games.
Well, yeah, man, fucking crazy ass shit that we saw in this post Crown Jewel Monday Night Raw, man. Yeah, I guess for this one it was worth waking up at fucking 5 a.m. to watch it. Pretty decent show, but Mr. Blood, let's get out of here, shall we?
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Snug Wrestling, guys. Thanks for kicking it with us as always. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Don't forget, we're live every Monday and Friday night right after Raw and SmackDown go off the air on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook for live post-show reviews. And add as a bonus for reaction content during the weekly WWE broadcasts on all of our social media. Then hang out with us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the leader of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, that handsome Mexican over there, do our weekly one-on-ones where we dive into random wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. So follow Snug Wrestling on all social media platforms as well as on Apple and Spotify. or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And I don't know what happened to Toxic. He must have evaporated, but that was one time for the one time. I said that was 4 letters.
4 letters. One word.
Yeet.
Yeet.